And then I said you could spam my tuna anytime that it's frozen.
Oh, Cotton, you're such a card.
What? No, I'm not.
Cotton, it's like an expression.
I am not a card. Do not say that about me. I'm a human.
Ladies, gentlemen, and monsters of all ages,
Monster Hunter is, as a series, absolutely peak. If you are here watching this, it's probably because you love Monster Hunter like I do, and you know what? Capcom loves it too. If you're not particularly in the loop on this specific topic, you may not know that Capcom has their own trading game full of cards that pull from their various series, their franchises, and one of the most commonly pulled from ones is Monster Hunter. There are tons of Monster Hunter based cards in this game, which is called Teppen. This has been going on for years, and we've talked about it over time for one reason or another, but it's been about 2 years since we last discussed it on the channel, and in that time, Teppen has released just under 80 new Monster Hunter related cards. I'm not going to try and explain how Teppen works as a game or how to play it. Today I simply want to go through and look at the Monster Hunter cards released over the last couple of years, share the artwork on them with all of you guys, point out the ones that I really like, and then there's also a frontier monster that has been given an absolutely wild English localized name specifically through Teppen card releases over this period of time. We had that happen once beforehand as well, but this is a new one, and it's a very sort of controversial localization too, so it's interesting to talk about when we get there. Before we begin then, with all the new cards, Teppen is a really big reason, honestly, that some of the shut down Monster Hunter spin-off or side games are still being represented and remembered. These are some old cards, but they've got a number of cards from Monster Hunter Explore, the mobile game that is no longer running. Then of course we mentioned Frontier, but even before their newest editions, they had a few Frontier cards as well. That said, let's start going through every Monster Hunter related Teppen card release since the summer of 2023. Here's an interesting one here. It's a fusion of Felicia from Darkstalkers with Ruiner Nergigante, and this one also released as a hero skin for the game too. We've got this fun Poogie bouncing around on pure data, and then we move on to a much spookier card set with Living Bone Lagiacrus, which is honestly just really goddamn cool. Like, looking at this, I can completely imagine the idea of fighting an undead Lagiacrus who drops a lot of his lightning moves and then just is a very physical powerhouse. And while that is, of course, incredibly further into the wild fantasy side of logic than Monster Hunter normally goes, I also think it could be very cool to have a Monster Hunter game at some point, even a spin-off, that goes much more in on stuff like full-on magic existing in the world, both in terms of making the monsters crazier and more magical, but also the hunters. Let us have like full-on mages as a weapon type. This set also gave us some new Gossarags, which I'd always love to see, and a goddamn ghost feline, which is so unbelievably cute. We got a nice high-quality rendering of Giganox, really just showing off his colors, which are normally pretty drowned out in his in-game versions, but that's mostly because he has not returned in a modern Monster Hunter game. So a return of Giganox that does justice to him visually like this card could be really nice to see in the future. We got some Kezu, and we also got the Meowskiller chef preparing some dough as he do, which clearly leads directly into it's pizza time, with a Grimalkine sharing the pizza that the dough created. Then we've got some Monster Hunter Stories 2 working its way into the next card set. This one has Enna from Stories 2, one of the main characters working alongside the player. And then we have the only secret card released for Monster Hunter the last couple of years, and secret cards in Teppen are ones that have animated designs instead of just a sort of stagnant one. This is a character from Sengoku Basara riding a Kirin, who honestly, in the animation here, looks like it just wants to buck him the hell off. It does not like being ridden. It has no chill for the situation. We've got Enna again on her own solo card this time, and then a cute little sleeping Kirin too. Then hilariously we have a kinship stone and what appears to be a high security like box at a museum or something like that, full on laser security with a big red button next to it to show off the alarm. Then we've got a Grimalkine solo card, then just a number of nice quaint Monster Hunter-y related cards with Grimalkines and Grand Meow even, but then Crab, Hermitar, just straight up regular small monster Hermitar as a card, and then the Severed Tail of a Dread King Rathalos, which is quite neat, and in a similar way to how the Skeletal Lagiacrus made me imagine a high fantasy magical Monster Hunter game, and I really would like that. This, combined with the Kinship Stone in a display case from earlier, makes me imagine a more high-tech, modern, scientific version of Monster Hunter. And I don't find that quite as generally appealing as a high fantasy magical Monster Hunter, but I do love that these Teppen cards are created enough to make you think about these kinds of things. Like, you can imagine full-on spin-off games from the series just from the cards they've created. We had a couple of Rajang cards released as well, including one with his just classic thumbs up pose from the mocap sessions, but after having thrown a man clean through a wall in a sparring match, and this card is just so good, I love it. Then moving on to our next card set, we have I just want to be clear that the story of this one is pretty much essentially around a prison and then breaking out of the prison, because without that context, it gets pretty inexplicable and wacky. The main Monster Hunter character used in this set is this feline, the main sort of a proponent of Monster Hunter within the prison break, and then the best card here in my opinion is this goddamn mugshot of him, like he has no clue where he is, he just sees people paying attention to him and he makes a silly face for the camera. It's great. We also get some monsters actually like at work in the prison yard, like looking from the art, it looks like they're actually being used to help guard the place, which I find hilarious. Like Kurupeko is there, raising the alarms, Titsuyaku is helping the spotlights with searching for people in the dark, and there's apparently a full-on rival prison gang with a Mealinx in it too, and there's also this card. I don't really know what to say about it, but let's try giving some words. Bunny Butt Barrel Roll. Then we see the continuation of the escape, and the grand plan apparently involves using a Zamtrios with a saddle right from Stories 2, pulling a boat through the water, which is honestly just so cool. And if you're wondering, they convinced him to help with this breakout with a bag full of frogs. I guess a simple enough trade. Moving on to a somewhat less themed set, we've got some new Mizitsune cards as well, which is lovely to see, and we get a card for the Wyverian twins, Hinoa and Binoto, a new Zinogre card with impeccable framing with the moon behind his head as he owls, a Bonboro card with him just straight up drinking from the hot springs, which is such a beautiful, quaint little Monster Hunter image, and then one of my favorite new cards, the Hubmaster-in-Chief of Monster Hunter Rise, and the old Wyverian sitting on their back too. Just awesome to see this pair returning, and I love the art on the card. We get not our first, but second Gargwa card, because there already was a Gargwa card in Teppen, so someone over there clearly likes them. And then we get some fun mashup cards between Monster Hunter and various other Capcom games. My favorite of which is this card of El Fuerte from Street Fighter, getting shocked running away from Zinogre while clearly trying to steal a monster egg. Maybe he's doing like an egg delivery quest himself. I just think it's fantastic. We've got Chef Umi from Okami wielding a frozen spear tuna as a weapon. I love the look on his face, like he's just so confused. It's a beautifully rendered expression. And then we follow that with a character from Monster Hunter Generations, Catalina, the Palico vendor lady from the cat farm. We get some more mashups. Then we've got Yamogi, the chef from Monster Hunter Rise, Tetranodon in all of his thick spherical sumo wrestling glory, and even this beautiful Pearl Spring macaque floating effortlessly and peacefully in this hot spring at night. Then some more fun mashups, a lot of Rise related cards in this one, and then this interesting Hot Spring Splash card, which actually mixes two separate Monster Hunter games, with Tetranodon attacking some of the little monkeys from Iceborne. And while I definitely wouldn't take Teppen cards as a source of canon lore in Monster Hunter, I can totally imagine an overlapping place that would exist in the Monster Hunter world where both of these creatures could exist in a map that's like full of hot springs and water in general, and that would be completely believable for both of them. We get some more Rise specific cards, including specifically Kagero the Merchant, and then we have this absolutely wicked card for Espinas here covered in fire, a poisonous glow from the face, moon centered in the background, just another absolutely gorgeous piece of artwork, and technically this is another frontier monster being represented in Teppen after the closing down of the game, even though this one was brought to the main series in Sunbreak as well. Then we come to the big one today, the thing that made me want to make this video to begin with, which is Disufuroa from Monster Hunter Frontier, or as it now has been localized in English for the first time by Teppen, Vorsfiroa, which is a wildly different name than the original version that we've been calling this monster for years. The reason for this is that Frontier, as a game, was never brought to the West. It never had an English translation done by the devs, so Frontier-specific monsters were very rarely given English localized names. So we've always just sort of said and spelt them like phonetically from the Japanese names, but seeing as Teppen is straight from Capcom themselves, when they release a Frontier monster card with a name that isn't the one used in Frontier, it's pretty much a confirmation of their localized name in the canon. So this monster in English is now officially called Vorsfiroa, not Disufuroa. And the previous example of this happening was a monster that we originally knew as Baruragaru, who was localized through Teppen as Barlaguel. And while that was a bit of a change for sure, it was relatively followable and made sense if you know about the whole thing with R's and L's in Japanese, whereas Vorsfiroa is quite a large difference from Disufuroa. As well, it's honestly just nice nice to see Frontier being kept alive in memory, even if nothing else, as the game servers were shut down years ago. Yet even in 2025, Teppen is still making not just one, but multiple cards about one of its coolest monsters, which is just awesome to see. And it leaves some hope that some Frontier monsters might make it to the main series Monster Hunter games eventually as well. As of course, we had Espinas in Sunbreak, but it would be great to get even more of the Frontier monsters brought over in the future, especially with the speed and power the players have in Wilds. I could totally see a Frontier endgame monster fitting in the expansion for the game, with some reworks of course. In this set then, which is meant to represent a bunch of crazy threatening creatures, we've also got a new Fatalis card, which looks super menacing. We have a Mealinx ripping the arm off of a statue for some reason. We have a new Nergigante card, and then a cool mix card with Nergigante and M. Bison from Street Fighter, sort of giving each other a stare down. And then finally a couple of cards for Monster Hunter Riders, the mobile gacha game that ended service back in 2022. So another Monster Hunter spin-off game being kept alive in memory through Teppen cards. And this is Ramarsh, the Astalos rider, as well as her and her Astalos on another card, fighting off the goddamn dragon from Dragon's Dogma, which looks cool as all hell. That just about does it for today, and everyone. A roundup of all of the new Monster Hunter related cards released for Teppen since we last talked about that card game back in early 2023. Again, this is nearly 80 new cards for Monster Hunter related stuff, and as someone who does not play Teppen but loves Monster Hunter, I just adore seeing all of this artwork and of course the important moments like full-on new monster name localizations coming through this card game that never came from the base games themselves. I hope you've all enjoyed this then, and let me know which cards are your favorites down in the comment section down below. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.